Bitcoin, not crypto. That's the lesson. I think this week highlights the contrast between the virtues of Bitcoin and the vices of crypto. And it illustrates the wisdom of Satoshi. So if we go back to first principles, the entire Bitcoin movement got started because of a loss of faith in the currency and a loss of faith in banks. And so this has gone on since time immemorial. Banking crisis that froze customers' funds and currency crisis that collapsed their purchasing power. And Bitcoin was created as a currency that couldn't be debased, running on an open network so you could be your own bank. And the principle is, if you're your own bank and no one has discretion to debase the currency, then you're not going to wake up one morning and find out that your funds have been seized and they've been devalued to zero. Decentralizes all of these things so that you no longer have to depend on the government to think you're a good person. You no longer have to depend on a charity to think you're a good person. You can just be a good person on your own by running a node, holding your key, stacking sats, and going about whatever you want. And that I just see as it is the pursuit of happiness. Crypto and the entire movement is almost like the reinvention of fiat currency and fractional reserve banking, but instead of it being in a regulated environment, it's just in an unregulated environment. So ironically, we saw the same human behaviors here. A human being creates a wildcat bank, unregulated. Then a human being creates their own currency, like the FTT token. Then they issue a bunch of it. I am much happier after Bitcoin than before Bitcoin. I mean, the pursuit of happiness is critical. And I think Bitcoin offers hope. And I've said this many, many times. I dedicated hope.com to all things Bitcoin. If you live in a system where the fruits of all of your labor are converted into a currency which is debased inevitably, continually, and going to zero, you're just overcome by despair, right? And the amount of despair, the degree of despair is just a function of how fast the currency is collapsing. And when you live in a nation where they're living under 100% inflation per year, you realize that everything you do and everything you're going to do is going to be siphoned away from you, right? And it's just hard to be happy, and it's hard to pursue happiness. You could almost say your time horizon is shrunk, and the discount rate, the financial discount rate has got to be equal to the inflation rate. So when the discount rate is zero, when the inflation rate is zero, the discount rate is zero, when your money will last forever, which is what Bitcoin is, then your hopes, your aspirations, and your horizon is forever. My message to Elon Musk is people are saying you overpaid for it. Not really. Twitter could be worth $1 trillion. Maybe you make 20x your return, but you won't meander into that. You need to obsess over how to make Twitter the most trustworthy speech platform in the world. And that means finding a way to embrace anonymous speakers who want to remain anonymous. How do you embrace corporations? How do you embrace the individual? How do you embrace people in countries where it's dangerous for them to be identified? How do you punish the scammers and the fishers in the box? How do you celebrate high integrity, clear speech, right? How do you make it easier to find the speech? I can go on Twitter and I can search for something I know I said and I can't find it now. Mm-hmm. Like the search doesn't work. The bots go crazy, right? It's just challenging and difficult, and yet every school board leader and every police chief and every mayor and every politician and every business leader, if they want to say something on the record, Twitter is where they go. So I would say it's a diamond in the rough. You have an opportunity to bring the entitlement. I would say that Twitter is the most underappreciated of the major digital networks in the year 2022. Everybody understands the power of Facebook and Google and Apple and Microsoft, and the Instagram and the WhatsApp network. Twitter was that redheaded stepchild, the one that was kicked around, that wasn't appreciated. But at its core, Twitter is the global network for public speech. And if you were a public figure and you wanted to go on the record and memorialize and to verify your speech, Twitter is that network. There's no reason why that network shouldn't be subscribed to by everyone that reads, right? It should have, I think they had 300 million users. It should have 6 billion to 8 billion users. Let's say 1 billion, aren't paying attention, but why aren't there 5 billion people on the Twitter network, right? And once there are 5 billion people on the Twitter network, Twitter is capable of providing free speech, free, verified, trustworthy speech, if properly engineered. The challenge is the proper engineering, and it is not easy to properly engineer it. We need to be able to trust people or who they say they are. We need to shut down the bots. Well, I think one of the lessons is you have to separate your P&L from your balance sheet. So if the way that you're making money is in Ross's letter, he points out that they make money with 10 different strategies. One of them is Bitcoin. The other 9 strategies are firmly grounded in the conventional economy of the world. So if you're a doctor, you stay a doctor, you're the best doctor you can be, you serve your patients the best, and you maximize your income as a doctor. And then on your balance sheet, you have assets, and on your balance sheet you would have a variety of assets. Whatever property you're going to hold for a long period of time, you could have a diversified portfolio of property, of digital property like Bitcoin, and you might very well hold real estate, and you might own a share in a company, right? But separate your balance sheet from your P&L. At MicroStrategy, we have a traditional enterprise software company, and we keep 99% of our employees focused upon that business, which generates substantial cash flows. And that's what allows us to pursue our Bitcoin strategy by sweeping those cash flows into Bitcoin in a form of corporate dollar cost averaging. I think where things get dangerous, which is what happened with FTX, is all of a sudden the way they make money is also their balance sheet strategy. I think we need to educate a lot more people. What keeps me up at night is that there are so many mainstream influencers, so many policy makers, so many investors and money managers that still don't understand half an hour or an hour worth of Bitcoin fundamentals. But the world is still full of incredible numbers of people at every level, from the top ranks of our government to leaders, captains of industry, down to rank and file. The world's full of people that don't understand the theory of money. They don't understand what money is, right? They would say, oh, money is a medium of exchange. Okay, so therefore I guess the peso is just as good as the dollar, is just as good as Bitcoin, because they're all just mediums of exchange to somebody, right? And so the lack of awareness of the theory of money, that's something that keeps you up at night. The world is full of people that don't understand the power of an open, permissionless monetary network, right? The fact that you can move $1 million from here to Africa and you could do it in an open rail, and then you could do it 1 million times cheaper than the conventional 20th century banking system, and you could do it 1,000,000 times better, and then you could program it 1,000,000 times faster.
Do you agree that price doesn't matter in the short term? Leave a comment if you found the content interesting. Click in like button. It really helps the channel find viewers similar to you. If you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed to it, click in subscribe button. We post content daily to keep you up to date on the current market and news. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.